Well, hello, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing the curriculum that I would never, ever buy again. Ever. And keep in mind that, as you know, I know my hair every day, it's an issue. Keep in mind that I have bought every curriculum. There pretty much is. There's one or two I haven't purchased that I may purchase in the future. But let's talk first product of the day, because every video I have a product of the day or tip of the day, advice of the day, whatever. So today I'm doing musical books that I think are pretty great. So this is the Usborne musical books, the first book about the orchestra. Very quickly, you push this button when you turn it on, and it's got different music, different sounds, different the instruments. So it's pretty interesting. What I like better than that, though, is this Welcome to the Symphony. This is Welcome to the Symphony. It's about a little mouse going to see Beethoven's first play. So the little mouse has never seen a concert before. And then it's got, you can press this as you go through. It's got the numbers and you press it when it shows up. And it's got, the conductor. So it's got definitions, the dynamics, tempo. And it's an interesting story, and it's interesting to get to play these things. Is it not on? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, and the last one, this is great. This is Family Dynamics. It's very cool because it's a story which teaches you all about the different families. So there's the string family, the percussion family, and things like that. And so it's a story, so you learn about the woodwind family and things like that. So I highly recommend it. I think it's a good book, interesting, and I think we've read it a few times because I have someone who loves music. And even if you don't, it's a relatively entertaining story. Okay, so let's talk about the curriculum I would never buy again. We are talking Sunlight or Bookshark. Now, specifically the science, but I have bought the English. I have bought the English programs, like the language arts programs from them, and I have bought the history programs for them. Now, for the history, it's not bad. It's just that I've found better stuff. Kind of every time I buy, I've also bought the art from them. Now, Bookshark and Sunlight, one is Christian, one is secular. It's the same company, right? So they use relatively the same products. They change a couple books out, but essentially it's the same. It's interchangeable. Now, the problem I have, so I have bought different, oh no, I hear the solar beeping. I think my lights are going to go out in a minute. So the first science curriculum I ever purchased, the one that I was super excited about, was Sunlight. I had read you get, I forget how many days of guarantee to return it, which is very fine print, did not apply to me. You have to buy like the whole entire year, I believe, in order to get it. I did not buy, I bought certain sections of the year for a few different years. Anyway, so I fell in love with the science from what I had seen, and I bought a bunch of different years for it, 3 different years. So let's take a look at the problems I have with it. Okay, so this is kindergarten. So we're going to look at kindergarten. So let's check out. So first of all, it's just not, okay. Problem number 1 is you have to have a binder and put it together. Fine. For the price. The problem I have is that, first of all, kids don't need to learn all this stuff in kindergarten. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You don't need to know all this different stuff. If your child has an interest in reptiles, you can just do a study unit on reptiles. And you would be like, hey, well, this is like a bunch of different study units, perhaps. But why do flowers smell the way they do? Like, these are just things that you don't need to know. And it's just very, I don't like it. Another thing about it that I have a problem with is that I thought if I purchased the paper packet, because each student needs a paper packet, that would be okay. No, each student also needs this darn book, which is their main the teacher's text, right? The instructor's guide. Now see here, if you have Sunlight, which is the Christian, you will have this quote here. If you have Bookshark, you do not. And that's that's pretty much the only difference that I've noticed in it. Okay, so don't worry. So you can purchase something used like this if this interests you. So this is the kindergarten science experiment book. You also need one of these, because take a look. So as you go through and you're like, hey, these are some cool science experiments. I'm not saying they're not. They're all right. You need one of these for each student because they have more. So they should have organized it and had one packet for students that you don't have to buy this, this, and this again. Furthermore, of course, the box of experiments you need if you want, like, I don't know, if you're not all sharing an experiment, which is up to you, of course, and your family. So it's just an intensive amount of work that is not necessary. Like, do they have a table of contents in here? So the evolution of the earth, helpful activity. No, that's the instructor's guide table contents. But like when you go through it, so here's the book list that come along with it. So these are the books. You can get the books at the library, so you don't need to buy the books. They're all should be available at the library. So schedule notes and activity sheets. So they kind of mix them all together, but it's just so intensive. Like, do you need 4 weeks of ants? You know what I mean? Like, I really don't think you do. And then what good curriculums do at the kindergarten age that I've noticed is that they will have it so you can either glue it or you can write it, depending on what your stage your student's at. This is not the case here. So either you're writing it for the student if they're not able to write, or I don't know, maybe some parents are holding them back, but it's so intensive. Like, honestly, if you look at actual educational school systems, you know what I mean, and what they teach, like what the states require a kid learns in kindergarten, it's not that high. Which brings me to it's not that much stuff, which brings me to the next thing here. The next thing in here is, look at, these are the parts. So cheese balls, weird pipe that you're supposed to find unless you pay $79 for this box. I mean, it just has such obscure things that you're going to have to track down for your experiments. What a pain. What a pain. You want easy stuff. There's little wooden wheels. There's little tiny wooden wheels that you're going to need that I don't even know where you would buy them. At a craft store if you were lucky enough to live around them. So I was just not impressed, and I was so bummed that I spent so much money. I couldn't return it, and I had, just because I didn't read the fine print, and I had camouflage sheets of paper. See, so some of these are used for gluing, like snake tongues and things like that. So make a prediction. These are things you can do without all this stuff. It doesn't have to be that intensive. And even if I want a really rigorous science curriculum for my kids, but I don't want it of busy work, this to me is the definition of busy work. I get it. If you like it, hey, great, good for you. Because I have more than one child as well, I think that's a factor as far as I'm concerned. It's like, even if I were to school them at the same age, I'd have to pay double. I have to get 2 instructors' manuals. How is it? I have to get 2 science experiments. The curriculum is just not well thought out to do that. So that is my thing. I would never buy it again. I have quite a few years of it. And again, the history looked kind of interesting, so I bought the history. And I just found something better somewhere else for the history, for the reading, for the phonics, for the art, and I bought every component, and it's not cheap. So it's not that I didn't think that it had good promise. It's just, for me, I found something better everywhere else for things. So I know Sunlight's never going to offer me money to sponsor it or send me any products to look at, I'm sure. But I'm never going to lie to you. There you go. That's what I think. That's the curriculum I would never, ever buy again. Bye-bye. Can you say, please like and subscribe?
Please like to like.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Hit the bell for notifications.